Yeah, that speaks to the fact that the baseline science for proving ghosts has not been proven. We don't know that EMS can detect ghosts. We don't know that temperatures drop when ghosts are around, because it's never that fundamental work has never been done. It's all just assertions. People assert that dice can find ghosts, and then everybody just runs with that theory.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you would like to assert that your house is infested with ghosts, or in fact if your house is not infested with ghosts, or anything about ghosts or atheism or anything else, please give us a call, 206-421-5658.
Okay. So what I thought we'd do is I thought we'd go ahead and one of the things that they claim in these ghost shows, and this is actually a strong component of ghost labs at the very least, is they claim that EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, are the voices of ghosts. that basically when they walk around a home, they speak to the ghost, they challenge it to respond to them in some way, then they play back the recording to see if they can pick up the ghost's voice. So I thought we'd play clip number 4, and let's see what they found on Ghost Lab, the latest episode that I've seen.
Right here is where you're going to hear it. Okay, but this is the full recording. You need to come on out of the corners, out of the shadows. Give me your name. Oh, dude. Listen. Wow. I'm saying I think it says Private John Riley. Okay, Private John Riley. You need to come on out of the corners, out of the shadows. Give me your name. Private John Riley. You can hear that southern drawl in there.
Okay, what I love about this one is that at the end he says you can even hear the southern drawl. No, you hear his southern drawl.
Yeah, I hear what Wesley Willis, personally. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, so one thing I know from seeing these clips before is that your perception tends to change once they throw up the subtitles.
Yes.
Because once you're reading them, then you're trying to hear what they're hearing. So I made sure to write down what I thought I heard.
Oh, very good.
The first time before I could see the subtitles,
Okay.
and what I wrote down was house chow body.
My problem is I do some of the post-production for the podcast of this show, and that noise, that specific kind of watery, bloopy noise, is digital artifacting from when I turn noise cancellation up too high. That is very obviously digital artifacting, and that's
Or the studio's haunted.
or the studios
Can't rule that
I
out.
suppose. Oh wow,
We've got a call.
Jeffrey from Toronto.
Jeffrey
How
from
you
Toronto,
doing?
what do you have for us?
Well, I just got a comment on these ghost hunter shows. I'm extremely skeptical. Russ, you and I have talked before, but I was on another program. The thing is that these shows have to get a story out and make money at it and get an audience. So they have a beginning, middle, and an end. And it's as phony as hell.
Yeah, I've got a real problem when they have a financial interest in finding ghosts, both for ratings and for the people appearing on the show. I don't know if you have a chance, you can Google or check on YouTube. You can see where the show Ghost Hunters have actually falsified finding ghosts. Either you see tennis shoes on a ghost, or a collar is being pulled, and they know that there's a hanger. They prove that there's a hanger underneath this jacket. So anybody who has a vested financial interest in finding ghosts is probably going to find them.
You know, I read a little bit about ghost hunters when I found out that this was what we were going to be talking about today. And I found out that in the first season, they were going around claiming that actually we are, skeptics. We are approaching this from a skeptical point of view. A lot of times we try to prove that it's not haunted. And what happened was in first season, it was like half the houses they found, they'd say, oh, this isn't a haunted house after all. Second season, almost all of them were haunted.
The lid came off.
Once the show started becoming popular.
Yeah.
They needed an audience, so they needed ghosts.
Right,
yeah,
They
exactly.
invented it out of thin air. I mean, ghosts do come from thin air, don't they?
And this is sort of I kind of see these ghost hunting things as sort of a subset of the reality TV show, in that these reality TV shows are not realistic at all, in that they're trying to make supposedly real-life events fit within an episodic dramatical arc. Mm-hmm.
You have to keep in mind what they're really trying to get is an audience.
Exactly.
Yes.
They have to give it some kind of dramatic ending in order to make it work.
Yeah. One
I'm
really...
looking at the screen there. My name is actually Jeffrick.
Jeffrick?
Jeffrick?
Rick.
Oh, apologies.
I don't
Okay,
know.
and the absolutely weirdest ghost story I heard was a guy who came home in the middle of the day and saw his wife laying on the bed naked, I mean, he hadn't seen her like that in years.
Oh.
So he said, honey, what happened? Get dressed. We're going to the boss's house for dinner. She said, I can't. I don't have a thing to wear. And he says, what do you mean you haven't got a thing to wear? I mean, it pissed him off. So he goes to the closet door, whips it open, and says, look at this. You got the green dress, the blue dress, the yellow dress. Hi, Frank. The black dress, the orange dress.
We need to insert a rim shot. We need a rim shot now.
Rim shot.
Very nice.
And that EVP, if I can get you back on the topic, the EVP will pick up reception from wireless telephones 2 miles away, or CV truckers.
Absolutely.
They pick up so much crap that isn't ghostly at all.
Yeah.
Just to roll out with a little bit more geek cred, I'm also an amateur radio guy. I play a lot with ham radio, and I have a lot of this equipment that they use to sort of detect ghosts. The field strength meters, the frequency counters. It was weird. I was watching something on that so accurate network, the History Channel, where they were delving into the depths of the Bermuda Triangle with the same Radio Shack frequency counter I bought in 1992. It was very strange. It was the only thing it compares to was the time my dad saw a movie where they were scanning for life forms with his guitar tuner. It's amazing stuff, and they do use these things, and they describe it exactly where it's this electromagnetic detector thing where it picks up a strong signal and then latches onto that signal and then it tries to demodulate it in some way. We use that all the time for direction finding, for finding transmitter sites. That's what it was built for. That's what it's good at.
The piece of equipment you're talking about is they call it. It's got its own name now. It's called a ghost box. By the way, do a search for ghost box.
Boy.
And this is a piece of equipment that's detuned, a radio that's detuned. And they claim that it's a radio frequency that no radio is using, and then they listen for voices. And so, anyway, I did an investigation on that a while back.
Don't forget, I mean, there's something important that's not being discussed here, which is that not only can you interpret stuff that's not voices as voices, and not only can it pick it up from other places, but, I mean, the show is edited. I mean, you know, they're doing hours and hours and hours of stuff, and, you know, if hours go by and no voice comes up, and then all of a sudden a few seconds go by and something that they can interpret as house chow body.
Yeah.
You ever wonder if somebody's picked up their cell phone and made a quick dial when they're getting bored?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then they can do that, and some of the shows actually change the speed so that they can get it at a speed where the weird stuff sounds different, so that then they can pick up voices from the slow version.
Didn't I hear about this in the 70s when you were playing LPs backwards to hear the voice of Steve?
Backmasking.
That's a thing.
Paul is dead.
Paul is dead. Well, thank you for your call,
Jeffrey. Thank you for calling. Appreciate it.
And actually, that's the thing is, especially on YouTube, they have that thing where they would take cartoon theme songs from other countries and then give them their own lyrics. Is people are wired. We have a lot of wiring for detecting, but for detecting patterns, for detecting noises, for hearing things, and sometimes they're a little too sensitive.
Right, it's called pareidolia. That's the phenomena of the human mind pattern matching, looking for sounds that are familiar and then filling in those sounds. Just like when you said you heard house chow body,
right.
that's pareidolia at its best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you know, it's also the phenomenon that makes people constantly erect holy sites when somebody finds an image of the Virgin Mary in a grilled cheese sandwich.
Right. Or a knot of wood, they'll see Satan. Yeah.
So you combine that with the fact that on these ghost hunter shows that their high fidelity microphone that catches these EVPs sounds a bit like an answering machine from 1997.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear things. You're gonna hear voices.
Yeah.
And it's just human nature.
So I want you to go ahead and move on to the clips. We have clip number 5, and this one is where they take this Private John Riley to the next step. I want you guys to check this out.
I've never had a response so clear, direct to a question in that manner before.
We got to take it further.
We need to talk to a historian.
Maybe they have records of the regiments and the names and a list.
Okay, man. So we just might have a voice of Private John Riley. Now we need to find out if this name means anything.
We contacted Civil War historian Gary Cross to do some research for us. Now we're going to meet with him to see if he dug anything up.
Well, anything on John Riley?
Actually, yes.
Wow. Man.
I found a private S.J. Riley, Company I, 5th North Carolina.
Is there a record of Private John Riley actually being at the Fairfield?
No. But what's interesting about that is his records indicate that the date and the place that he was killed during the Gettysburg campaign is unknown, and that his body was never recovered. Probably died somewhere along the way, and it could very well be the Fairfield Inn.
Okay.
And then they turn to the side and say, "Hey, who's playing the spooky music?"
Okay, so some big problems with that. The historian says he's found S.J. Riley.
S.J. Riley.
And
Which
so,
is not John.
Which is not John Riley.
Seriously, how hard is it to find a private named John?
All right, so what we did some research on it. We actually did some research on it. And so we looked at Riley and Company I, 5th Regiment, North Carolina, and there was no S.J. Riley. There was Stephen Riley. There was actually no John Riley in that regiment. We have it listed from the American Civil War soldiers. We have a crack research team of our own, and we actually found nothing to corroborate what the historian said. We actually know where he died. We know where he got wounded, and there's nothing mysterious about it whatsoever. So I just wanted to just debunk that as fast as I could. That was S.J. Riley.
Okay, so they had to fabricate a story, but their story really didn't place him in the place that they were doing the ghost hunting, and they made it very S.J. Riley. That J must have been John, and so they had to fabricate part of the story, but it's still barely connected to what they were doing.
It gets worse.
Oh,
it
wow.
gets worse.
Can't wait.
We have clip number 6. Now watch as S.J. Riley becomes John Riley.
Don't forget that people can call in anytime.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Everyone we've let listen to it comes up with John Riley.
John Riley. And we talked to an historian. He said that there was a J. Riley, died at the Battle of Gettysburg, and his body was never found. In fact, he was a part of the North Carolina regiment that passed in front of the Fairfield Inn on the retreat.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's where the clip ends anyway. But you get the idea that S.J. Riley the S has been dropped. And now suddenly his regiment has passed in front of the inn. That's nothing the historian said.
They just assume we're going to wave it away because you see Everett cooping it, basically. It must be first initial. It couldn't stand for an actual name.
Yeah.
If I can get back to the beginning of the show, this is people, I mean, we were talking about how people have absolute certainty in stuff that they've just made up, and then they try to justify it to themselves after the fact. So, I mean, anything that barely fits, they're justified in saying that it passes in front of, that the regiment passed in front of the inn, because we now know that we heard S.J. Riley, Private John Riley, and not House Chow Body, and we know that there was an S.J. Riley, and that must have meant John, and so we're justified in filling in whatever details would place him in the house, because that's what we want to find out. It's the opposite of the scientific method, where you look into facts and then make a conclusion. They make a conclusion and then they fill in the facts.
Right.
So it's sort of like Ghost Telephone, but not the way they mean it. Is they're having this big game of telephone where you can watch as something random they found about some Civil War regiment becomes the guy that's inhabiting, because he happened to walk past the place once upon a time so many years ago. Does that mean when I die I'm going to end up at a 7-Eleven? Because I go to those a lot.
Anything can happen. So just note the fact that we never actually said his name from our research. His name was never revealed as Stephen J. Riley. It's actually Stephen Riley. There's actually no record of the J whatsoever. So it's even actually more of a stretch than the show is actually letting on.